never mind.
What?
I was gonna say, does Sean know that we don't turn off the recording at the end of the show?
Yes, I told him.
Okay.
He is aware.
You are stuck forever.
Yeah. I mean that like for days. You don't you do not turn it off.
I'm honored. I've already gone to the bathroom.
Okay.
And if I need to, I can swing this microphone around. There's actually a bathroom right there, so I could. And there's like super long cord. Yeah, it's within smelling distance for sure.
Nice chair.
Thanks. It's from Costco.
I need one of those.
I think it's ruining my back though, guys.
Oh, never mind then.
Is it like a gaming chair?
It is, but it's got this dang like it's supposed to be like for your lumbar support or whatever, and it kind of like kicks you out all awkward. And I don't know. I prefer to just like kind of sit like this. Like this is much better for my back.
I feel like yeah.
Like I don't. It's actually trying to correct me, and I can't move. I almost dropped my kid yesterday. I was like, up you go, up, and I'm like, no, I can't.
When they're little, they bounce. They're flexible.
Oh, he's bouncing a ton.
The bones bend more than break.
He's starting to stand, sort of. But yeah, his head's bouncing everywhere. He had his first black eye last week.
Nice.
Oh man. All right, let's do this thing.
Let's go.
We got free. We're good.
Exactly.
Hello and welcome to episode 596 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm covered in snow.
Again?
It looks like winter out there.
Oh, God.
It's ridiculous.
It's April.
Yeah.
Almost mid-April.
Yes.
Yikes.
It is mid-April.
Mid-April. And joining us also from Canada, Mr. Sean Capri.
It's a Canadian takeover. I'm so happy to be here. Hi, guys.
Outnumbered.
Finally.
There's going to be so much kindness on this episode.
Right.
And
That's
apologizing.
Right. I was going to say, yes, CJ, you're going to be told you're sorry so many times.
Probably.
Tonight.
Sean, you do a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
You do the Xbox Drive, which I mentioned last week, which is a fantastic show.
Thank you.
And the concept for it is what I love the most. You are on a Skype call with your friend Dave as you drive to work, and you're talking about Xbox stuff.
Yeah, it's actually like my favorite. I'm glad that we're talking about it. The other ones we can just not talk about because it's too much. Nobody.
We'll talk about those. We'll talk about those too.
Matter.
But I want to highlight the Xbox Drive.
So funny, man. Like we were actually in this little like kind of small town kind of group of podcasts. There was a show called the Xbox Dive that decided to leave. They shut off their show. And I was talking to Dave about this on a Skype call to work, and we were just kind of like, man, really, it's too bad because there's not really too many Xbox shows out there, or at least not that we're aware of. And if only we could do like an Xbox Dive. The only time I have to do it is when I drive to work. And we can, and like with that moment where you realize that you could have this nice pun. And as a dad, I appreciate a good pun. The Xbox Drive is like, it's just so much fun to do. It's, somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes because that's the commute, which lines up hopefully with other people's commutes. And it is such a blast. I order coffee to start things off. So for sure I'm driving. Like there's no doubt.
And sometimes you hear the drive-through person.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Great.
Sometimes they're good. Sometimes it's maybe their first week, but it's a good start to every week, man. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's a great concept for a show. I recommend that everybody check it out. You've done now over 30 episodes, right?
Yeah, so we're getting really excited every time we announce the show number. We're like, ooh, I can't believe it. And then we'll come to here. Now this ruins everything. And now we're creeping up on 600 episodes with this show.
Almost.
That's crazy, man. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, we went for quantity over quality. We felt like
that's right.
Yeah.
We're on the road for that too.
Yeah.
See what I did? The road.
The road.
The drive.
Yep.
The drive. Yeah.
Well, you also
were
on If We Ran Nintendo, which I think you rebooted that show, right? Because it stopped and then you rebooted it recently?
Yeah, Bobby died. Bobby, the Nintendo guru, he didn't really die. He left us.
You're really nonchalant about it, but
very much alive. He died in the podcast world. And we started a Patreon when we did that show, and people in many ways came on board because of If We Ran Nintendo. And so when Bobby left to figure out his life, I wanted to do something to kind of like show the people who support us that I take it very seriously that they give us their hard-earned money. So I wanted to revive a show that brought them on board in the first place, kind of give it a new format with new guests, and we do what probably a lot of people do, which is think that we can run Nintendo better. So we topic by topic, whether it's something as serious as should we kill the 3DS, or something as ridiculous as what would a Mushroom Kingdom dating simulator be? That's kind of what If We Ran Nintendo covers the spectrum of now.
And I love those two shows, especially just because they're such a great concept that you're not getting from another show. So you can easily add Xbox Drive or If We Ran Nintendo to your regular podcast lineup, and you get something different.
Chances are your other shows are not talking about Mushroom Kingdom dating sim. So yeah.
Definitely not. I've not heard anything about that. And then you do We the Gamercast as well, because you're part of the We the Nerdy community, and you bring on a gamer each week and talk to them about games.
That was the first one. That's sort of the thing that like kind of kickstarted all of this stuff. And that's how, Chris, you and I officially met. We got to have a nice chat over an hour or so, and it's been amazing. Like that was sort of born out of limitations of I didn't have anybody to do a podcast with. I loved the Mark Maron show, and I basically ripped off his format and did it in video game forms, where video games connect us all together. And sort of learning about people's origin stories used to be a very original thought for me, and that's actually how Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, and I met. I've just met a lot of amazing, like real friendships through that show. So that continues on to be the networking and being able to meet new people I never would have met before. And then, just stretching the creative muscle with If We Ran Nintendo and Xbox Drive. So hopefully that's it though. I think. Are
you on any other shows that I'm not, that I didn't name?
Yeah, I'm actually on like half of the shows that you mentioned when you gave your rundown of you and I are very similar though, because we both have just a slew of podcasts that we listen to. I'm a the reason I do so many is because I truly love podcasts, and I'm every day becoming more and more like my dad, who listens to talk radio at full blast in his 1970 Volkswagen.
Oh yeah, my parents do the same thing. I was raised on talk radio.
Yeah.
In Chicago for me.
And you're like, no way, man, I'm going to listen to music when I get my own car. No, I don't listen to music anymore at all. It's all podcasts.
Yeah. Same here. All right, let's do some news. What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
All right. Spider-Man from our friends at Insomniac and friend of the show, Brian Intihar.
Yes.
A date has been announced. September 7th for the PlayStation 4.
Which is like just piling on in September. September is easily going to be the most expensive month of the year.
It is, yeah.
Which I'm a little disappointed about that it ended up there. I was talking to a friend about this today, and I was kind of hoping that we'd maybe have Spider-Man to play over the summer, and
that'd be nice
in preparation for all these other big games.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see it in like July or August,
or even June.
Yeah, even June. September's getting crowded.
Yeah,
sure. Because then you also have Nintendo launching their online service, and probably Smash Brothers at that same time.
You also have Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
I think Sony's got a few other releases that month, don't they?
Do they? Well, the Spyro remaster was also announced for release September 21st. So
I was going to say that the September release date for Spider-Man screams confidence, but then does that same logic apply for Spyro? Is there? Because I don't know about you guys. Spyro is so skippable for me. It's not even funny. And it's not just because I have all the consoles just for because we mentioned Xbox and Nintendo. I do have PlayStations as well, but I'm not Spyro does just nothing for me, like at all.
I mean, Spyro, scratches a retro itch, really. Like, I mean, there were people who were really crazy about that series.
That's true. They did what? 3, 4. Then Skylanders is
Skylanders is Spyro spinoff, right? And there was a few. I mean, didn't they do? I think they did 3 proper games before. Which company did that? Was that Insomniac?
Insomniac, yeah.
Insomniac before other companies took over, right? So I mean, there were more Spyro games after those 3 on the PlayStation, but people have really fond memories about those. But yeah, I don't know that he's really he's as bankable of a character nowadays, because I would be shocked if most people that play Skylanders even know that that's a Spyro game.
Yeah. That's the first one. It was really the only reference to him. Did you guys think that Crash was going to be as huge as it was? Like that was just printing money. So maybe it's not. I want to say it's not for me. Spyro is not for me. Crash is not for me. But like I get it. This thing probably will be massive. So maybe it does scream confidence for these September dates.
Yeah, I think it's a little different though. Spyro is a more kid-friendly franchise, right? than even Crash was.
Yeah, I think though you can also, I mean, you've got Spider-Man releasing that month. It's kind of works out that they're both releasing in the same month because you can say, hey, this is old school Insomniac.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right?
Yeah,
because they will be hot at that moment. So
yeah, and then of course there are going to be all these other games that we don't know about yet that'll come out in September too. I feel sorry for anyone trying to release a video game in September this year or October, because Red Dead, I think part of this is because Red Dead Redemption 2 is in October and everyone's trying to clear out of that space.
Right.
So yeah.
Trying to find this. I know there's more big September games, but I'm drawing a blank.
You're not finding it?
Yeah.
Well, our friends over at Game Informer, they have the cover of their new issue is Spider-Man. That's in part how we learned about the date. And they have a couple of interesting videos up there, including some questions with Brian Intihar.
Never heard
about
of
the game. Never heard of him. Yes. Fragile Eagle.
Fragile Eagle.
So I'll link to some of those in the show notes. People should check them out because Game Informer does great work on the web and in magazines.
Can't believe you said there were.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the other one. Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I knew there was another big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's
goodbye, Tomb Raider.
Oh, no, not again. They should just move it. Just move it, guys.
Just move it up.
Just get out of. Oh yeah, that always
move
happens.
it up. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what the dev team wants.
It's ready
to
now. Just
We're releasing in June.
Yeah. Isn't that how video games work? They're ready. I mean, once you show it at an E3 and people have played it, it's done, right?
Right.
Not quite. All right, Microsoft is teasing that they have a major update for the original Xbox backwards compatibility on Xbox One. They're teasing some kind of announcement during their Inside Xbox stream, which happens this week.
I want to be able to put all my old Xbox games in my Xbox One. And
I would love that.
I still have a pretty sizable Xbox collection, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to keep the old Xbox around to play them because there's a few that I still like playing, like Panzer Dragoon, as an example.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. That would be incredible, even just for sports games. Sports games are like really they have not been brought forward with all of this backwards compatibility. They've been a bit of a casualty, is the word I was stumbling on. And it would be incredible for me to go back into my collection and put all Tiger Woods, 2002 would be amazing just to kind of kick back, because I just never went back to those, and I don't really love the Rory McIlroy. And even this weekend with the Masters going on, I'm rooting for Tiger, but he's just not the same. So I want to go back. 2002
he hasn't
Tiger.
been the same for a long time.
No, of course.
It's interesting you say that, because that's one of the reasons why I tend to keep around some of my old sports games. I mean, the sports that I care about anyway. But for reasons like I'm big into F1 and NASCAR, so I like to hang on to those. And then you look every now and then, you look at the old ones and look at the old car styles, the old liveries, the old drivers, that sort of thing. Same with the NHL games, right? Love to look back at the old rosters and to play them as well, but to see the old rosters, the old team logos. Some teams are gone now, some new teams are around. Like, it just feels almost like a time capsule a little bit,
Well, especially the hockey games too. Like, this generation has not been very kind, I don't think, to the NHL series. 360, I've spent countless hours on the original Xbox.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Great modes too, like those arcade modes, the 3-on-3 previous to this year, or previous to this generation. I think they had like threes. It's just not the same. We used to spend all night playing 3-on-3 arcade, big head mode and everything like that. Not original Xbox, but
the previous generation, we used to run tournaments at work.
Of course,
over lunch hour, and I haven't touched an NHL game this generation, except the demos. And the demos that have existed have been enough to tell me I don't want to buy them.
This whole putting a disc in would be exactly the like ass backwards type of, like, it doesn't do anything for Microsoft at all. Like, really, other than to say, hey gamers, like, we care about you and our legacy with Xbox. But I get the whole backwards compatibility with the digital side, because it gives you a reason to maybe go buy games before. And they were actually repackaging some old 360 games as playable on Xbox in a physical form. But like, this move that I think actually could happen is just one of those, we're with you. We're probably not going to be able to bring too many of these back like the legitimate way of the digital update and rejigging any of the licensing. So instead of just leaving this kind of whatever 14 games or 16 games that they've got, just if you have the disc, put them in. That would be incredible.
It would be amazing, and you're right. I mean, it's not going to make them any money, but it's just sort of a nice to have thing, especially considering how old that system is now. I think it's legit retro at this point, right? You could call that retro gaming. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of those games floating around used and cheap. And to hear like, hey, Rally Sport Challenge was amazing. Boy, it sucks that Microsoft didn't keep making that series, or the Mechasalt series. Like, you have people sort of right, waxing nostalgic about those things.
Midtown
to know
Madness.
that either if you have them in your collection, you can just pop the disc in to play it, or if you find it for $5 and say, wow, I have some friends who talk about this all the time, I should check it out. $5 is cheap, and I don't need extra hardware for it. I literally pop it into my Xbox One and it works. Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe
nobody else has that.
Maybe their big update is that Blink's the Time Sweeper is finally going to be backwards compatible. Finally,
or the or Star Wars Battlefront 2 removed microtransactions on the Xbox One, but they've added them to the original Xbox. You can put that disc in there and buy all these different skins and stuff.
Endless opportunities.
Totally,
that's right.
If we were on Xbox.
Well, what do we think? Like, they're teasing a big update.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be just put any disc into the Xbox One and it'll play, what constitutes a big
extensive new list of backwards compatible games?
Like, how many are we talking?
I don't know, 30.
Would justify the verbiage big update for you?
Okay, remember, you're talking about Microsoft here. They're a little hyperbolic about everything they do because they have to be, because they haven't been doing a whole lot in the game space. Like, I'm sorry, I said space. They haven't been doing a whole lot as far as game releases, so everything is huge.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
I was thinking maybe achievements. I could see them maybe adding achievements to the original stuff. And here's my logic on this is I don't think that they're going to be able to add a whole slew of games to the backwards compatibility catalog. So in lieu of that, maybe give those few that are backwards compatible a little extra special treatment. And I think that would constitute sort of like a big deal. My fear is that we are all way overshooting 30 games, whatever the disc skin I think is amazing. It's probably like 2 games that people really love.
Yeah.
For some reason.
That's just it. That could be all it is too. Like, there's one, I don't even know what the current backwards compatibility list is, but I'm sure you could call it 2 or 3 games that are like major fan favorites.
Yeah.
Like, people have been asking for this, and now it's here.
Bloodwake.
Bloodwake. Oh man.
But what game would you legitimately go back to if they added it?
I honestly, I wouldn't even be going back to it, but Star Wars, Old Republic, I don't think that's been added yet. KOTOR would be definitely one that, because I'm living in the city of BioWare, so I have to love everything that BioWare does. But I never got to that game. I just totally missed it. I was too busy playing NHL on the original Xbox. Yeah, I definitely missed out. But
see, there's a great example of that. You've missed out on that game. So hey, if any disc works and you go out to EB tomorrow, well, EB wouldn't have it, but you go to like a flea market tomorrow and there's KOTOR for $5.
Totally. I would actually do that too.
Yeah.
It'd be great to stream. That would be, just even that aspect of everything for backwards compatibility for streaming, I think is really neat. It's too bad Nintendo doesn't embrace that a little more, because they're on it with virtual console stuff.
Exactly. Because again, the older the hardware gets, the harder it is to stream that stuff.
Yep.
And it's just a pain in the butt to have it all hooked up.
Yep. Yeah, there are ways.
What would you legitimately go back to?
Well, like I don't remember. Again, if Rally Sport Challenge 2 is not on that list, I would legitimately go back to that or the Mechasalt games. Those two were 2 that popped to mind almost immediately. They were great early Microsoft series that it was really sad that they didn't. Rally Sport Challenge 2 was a fantastic racing game. Like, it was so good, and it just sucked that they didn't continue them.
Yes, indeed. Well, we'll find out, because Inside Xbox comes on the same day as this podcast, Tuesday, April 10th.
So we should already know.
We should already know, but we don't, because we record
was
on
Morrowind on Xbox? Elder Scrolls 3?
Yep.
That'd be a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be big.
Remember that.
Yes, indeed. All right. Far Cry 5 has doubled Far Cry 4's first week sales, and it's Ubisoft's second biggest game launch. The Division is number 1.
The Division? Really?
The Division, yeah, oddly enough.
Wow.
I guess that's what 2 years of teasing that at E3.
I suppose, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising this didn't take over that spot.
The game that is all video games in one game.
Right.
Far Cry 5. Yeah.
It's awesome. Far Cry 5 is good. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. That's good news for Ubi. A lot of good news for Ubi in the last 2 weeks.
They opened up a new studio.
The Vivendi thing. Oh, yeah? Where?
Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg. Which, Winnipeg, the city that in the winter, sometimes you don't want to go outside because your eyeballs might freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a support studio only because how do you convince anybody to go to Winnipeg?
They apparently have a studio up in northern Quebec as well, which I did not know.
Oh, wow.
I was at
an ice castle.
Yeah, at GDC last week. Every year at GDC, Canada has a gathering of Canadian game developers. Just to have a big party, basically. And this year it was sponsored by Ubisoft. It's sponsored by Ubisoft a lot, and they had a reel running where at one point they said, look at our cool studios and everything. And I thought it was funny because it flashed up a bunch of names of where the studios are, like Montreal, Shanghai, Toronto, et cetera, et cetera. And then it was like they didn't mention Halifax, which they opened a studio in Halifax last year. So I was kind of there with my buddy also from Red Space where I work, and said, oh man, it kind of sucks that Halifax didn't make the cut, but maybe it's an older video. But there was one studio name, there was a city name that I was like, I have no idea. I've never heard of that city. Like, is that even, I figured it wasn't even in Canada. And he's like, no, that's in Northern Quebec, because he grew up in Northern Quebec. I was like, really? That's a weird place to have a game studio.
No kidding. Must be some tax benefit.
Yeah, Quebec does have great tax benefits as far as I know. But I think it was just one of those things where it was a little studio and they managed to use them for some kind of work and then bought them. That's kind of how it worked here. Like here in Halifax, it was Longtail Studios, but who did a lot of work for Ubisoft because they're connected. I think they're both owned by Guillemot brothers, and then Ubisoft just bought them basically. Now Winnipeg.
There you go.
I feel like it will be hard to recruit people for Winnipeg.
Yep.
Well, file this under perfect for Switch. Firewatch coming to the Switch. Apparently soon.
Yep. Well, it's old enough now that it's old enough that it needs to get released on Switch now. So
that's right. Yeah. I don't know that I'd need to play it again though. I played it once and it was a good experience. Firewatch experience.
Yeah. You play it once and then that's good.
Yeah. I'll give it another 5 years and then I'll play it again. I think. Once I forget everything in the game. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to what we've been playing. Greg, you want to start us off?
Sure. I've been playing a bunch of old stuff this week. Well, not quite old. And Sean's got a bunch of Lego Dimensions figures sitting there next to him, which I'm happy to see. I finally cracked open the Mission Impossible and Goonies packs.
Nice.
For Lego Dimensions, because I've made it now as kind of I'm focusing on trying to finish up all the packs for Dimensions that I bought late last year. So still got Sonic, kind of saving that for the last. But yeah, Phil was on last week or the week before when we were talking about this, and he didn't think Mission Impossible was very good. I would beg to differ. Mission Impossible, I feel like, is one of the stronger level packs that they've released. The only thing is that the subject matter feels there's something about it's weird because I'm about to say that Goonies feels awesome and fresh, but the subject matter of Mission Impossible feels dated. But it's based on the first Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty old at this point.
Well, isn't there also a thing where Tom Cruise has in track that no game likeness of him be used at all?
Oh, maybe they're using his voice in this pack, though.
Really?
Well, they're using
that's surprising
clips from the movie.
From the movie. Yeah.
Do you remember the Minority Report game that came out on PS2 or PS1? Maybe that like the main character was blonde with brown eyes, like the exact reverse of Tom Cruise, just because
super tall,
was very litigious,
super tall.
Definitely not Tom Cruise.
No, I mean they're using his voice, but it took me a while to figure out because that series is still going, but I don't really watch them anymore. And I wasn't really a big fan of the first one. But yeah, it's the first one. It's based on the first one. So
the third one was the third one, second one that had what's her name? Felicity in it. I can't remember her name.
I have no idea. You're roboting, by the way, CJ.
Oh, I am.
At least for me, you are. Anyway,
badly or not badly?
Is there goodly?
Is it my microphone or is it my internet connection?
Because your video is going all fuzzy.
Okay. I'll turn
anyway,
that off for a while.
So, but yeah, I played it, and I mean, when I play those level packs, the way I play Lego Dimensions is when I get into an area, the first thing I do is go hit everything because you need to collect all the studs to get the rule breaker bonus, is what it's called in Dimensions. But it was over 2 hours. The missions took me over 2 hours to complete. That's pretty damn good. And then of course you get the open world after that in the Mission Impossible sort of theme. So I liked it a lot, actually. I can't agree with Phil that it's one of the weaker ones. I don't think it is. Goonies, on the other hand, is awesome. Because it's Goonies. Disappointed that there's no Cyndi Lauper. Kind of sucked, considering that we did get some Huey Lewis in the news with the Back to the Future one. But one of the things about that is when you get the level pack, you only get Sloth, which as the character, which is great. Sloth is cool and a lot of fun. But when you play through it, Chunk is one of your companions, and at one point Data is one of your companions as well. And that's great because they give you different powers that Sloth doesn't have and that you would otherwise need to put other characters on the palette to use. But one of the problems is that Lego games in general can bug out a little bit. And there was one thing that happened in the Goonies level pack, especially, that you could fall through the floor in this area where you were supposed to break through the floor. Some characters could just slip through the geometry, basically. And normally with Dimensions, and probably most Toy to Life, like if you have a character that gets caught in a place they're not supposed to be, just take them off the podium, right? And then put them back on, and they'll reappear wherever you are, basically. But because Data and Chunk don't actually come with figures, and they were kind of required in some places, it's easy to not necessarily get stuck in a loop or something like that, but it just can be irritating because they can end up in a place they're not supposed to be, and you have to sort of go get them and lead them back. So it was a little bit annoying, but I mean, overall, it was still a lot of fun. Still love that game to death. So I have Sonic still to play through, and then there still have Fantastic Beasts, the new Ghostbusters film, and there's one other one that I can't think of. Oh, Batman, the Lego Batman movie.
Nice.
So I have all those, and now my son is really getting into it too. So he's the podium's now out all the time, and he's playing through the main story now too. So still having loads of fun with that. I'm sure I'll be playing that for another couple months. The other games that I played was actually I did my first Extra Life marathon of the year in celebration of raising $1,000 so far in 2018. Did that yesterday, and it was the main 10 Mega Man games for 12 hours.
Did you finish them all?
Oh my gosh.
I finished 1 and 2. I beat all the Robot Masters for most of the rest of them. But those games get longer and longer as you go, obviously. So yeah, I beat 1 and 2, which were, masterpieces, of course. Beat all the Robot Masters for 3, but you get sort of, 4 new levels before you get to the Wily stages in 3. Really the first time I spent any major time with 4 through 7. I never really played those games a lot, and ended up really digging 4. It was way better than I expected. 5 was junk. 6 wasn't that great either, and 7 I thought was terrible as well for a Mega Man game. Especially 7, the biggest problem that they had was that the controls feel a little bit mushy, but the sprites were huge because that was the first Super Nintendo game in the main series. Right. The sprites were huge, but you're still in a 4:3 screen, so everything feels really cramped.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't crazy with that. But then of course 8 is amazing because it has especially that amazing voice acting.
Yeah.
For Dr. Light. which everybody laughs at the sort of the speech impediment the guy had, which of course that's what you do with speech impediments is laugh at them. But like he sounds like Elmer Fudd, right? Which is what everyone talks about. But what people don't really seem to realize is that he flubs his lines multiple times during the game, and they just use that take anyway.
Oh no!
Like there's one point where he's supposed to say like, "We got to go do this, Mega Man," but you can tell the actor either forgot that it was Mega Man that he was saying, or he just screwed it up. He stumbles over it, and then he said, "We got to go do this, Mega Man," and like, and they left it in. So.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
But it's a good game. And then again, 9 and 10 I'd never really played. Super excited when they came out and never really played them. And man, those games are good. They're hard, but I totally agree with Phil that they're not unreasonably hard. Because you can watch the Twitch archive. Like I hit spots where there was a platforming section in, I think 9 that I must have tried 20 times. But
oh my God,
I was getting better every single time. And
but 10 is supposed to be easier, right?
Yeah, 10 was easier.
Yeah.
But you know me, like I don't really have a lot of patience for anything that's going to take a lot of time to do that. But it wasn't bad. I mean, those levels are fairly short, and I was you could see if you watch the replay, like you can see that I'm getting better and better every time. Like I'm figuring it out. So it is challenging, way more challenging than a lot of games you play now. But I would not argue that those games are unfair in the least. They're just tough games, but it was a good time. Raised a little over $300 all told.
Nice.
Through donations and through Twitch subscriptions. So super happy about how it went. So now we're pushing on to the next 1,000, and I've got 2 requests either for Sonic Marathon next time or a Shinobi Marathon next time, which would be pretty neat.
Awesome. Yeah. Why not both?
That seems I don't know. Why not both?
For the kids.
Yeah.
For the kids. Yes. Anyway, that's what I've been playing.
Okay. Sean, what do you got for us?
Man, I kind of wish I was playing Lego Dimensions as well. I think I played that Mission Impossible. I'm stoked, and I'm justifying this mountain of ridiculousness here because eventually Lincoln he'll be 1 year old. My son will eventually pick up a controller, and we will play whether he likes it or not. But for me,
that's the way to build joy.
Right? Yeah, you will like exactly what I like, and we will be best friends. It's probably a good strategy for parenting. See how that turns out. I have been playing Far Cry 5, and I have been absolutely loving this game. I think one of the knocks against it is that it becomes a little repetitive after a while. And for me, I've learned the systems, how everything works, how to get my resistance points up, and the whole flow of the game is very natural now. Where at the beginning, you kind of, if you're new to a Far Cry game, you might struggle with it for a little bit, but now I almost don't really even pay attention to the game. I just throw like a podcast on or whatever. I might be watching hockey on my phone or something like that, because that's what Canadians do.
And it's just that's the most Canadian phrase ever. But go ahead.
Yeah, just make sure that I've got a second screen going all the time. I gotta watch my hockey. So
I've got the NASCAR race playing to my right here. I'm listening to you.
Do you really? We should have WrestleMania going as well.
There you go.
But Far Cry 5, I'm rounding the final corner. I've finished the two of the 3 lieutenants. I finished Faith and Jacob. I'm on my way to Handsome John, and just kind of really digging, going up in a helicopter and like raining hell from above. I've recently I just love the physics of it all. This is going to sound totally sadistic, but like if you even hit a guy even remotely close to him, he'll just like flail away. Like his lifeless body will just do cartwheels all over the place. And I gained a lot of kind of weird joy from that. But and I have been enjoying that for what it is rather than what it isn't. And I don't think we need to really get too much into that, but I've really loved the deep dive into cult culture and what all the different ways that people can be turned to do things that are totally monstrous. And on both sides, like as a character yourself, you're doing horrible things, as I said, with my freaking helicopter, which I should also be using to maybe go get help. instead
I was
of
gonna say, can't you fly out of the valley and
I can just leave. What
the National Guard or something?
There's no like maybe my character thinks he's playing PUBG and there's like a circle force field around there that the health will eventually deteriorate after a while.
You gotta finish your original mission, rookie.
I'm there. Yeah. And he already told me nobody's gonna help me. So why would I go try and get help?
Nobody's gonna help me.
So there's that. But I'm loving every section is like a different sort of take on how people can be turned to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do, and the fall of civilization. I love a lot of the themes in this, all while letting me just play. Like it is that game that I can just, I've probably put 25, 26 hours into this, and I'm not that type of gamer anymore. Like I don't really dump days worth of time into games anymore. And I'm just really, I love turning off my brain to play for the majority of it. And then every once in a while, it's like, hey, no, pay attention to this. This is important. And then I kind of get that kick in the gut feeling of it's a really intense situation. And the setting that they've created is really interesting to put a game into. And that's why I like it the best, actually, is for right now, it's my wander around and I'll jump on co-op. I want to play the arcade thing that they've got going. Apparently it's the fan made stuff. You can, or user created levels and scenarios. And apparently there's a PUBG ripoff on there that I want to go check out, which is awesome. Like, yes, thank you so much, whoever did that. So I'm not quite done with Far Cry, even if I do round this corner and finish off the last dude.
Well,
so
and they have extra content coming to the game.
Oh, the DLC looks amazing.
Like
really?
Events,
what's that about?
Events plus other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like the whole, think like the Blood Dragon sort of ridiculous angle. And then like, it's just like three packs of that. So I just love how
space, zombies and Vietnam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like,
oh my God.
Good.
It's going to be great.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Far Cry is becoming all video games. Now, is this your first Far Cry? Had you played any of the others?
I've dabbled into, so my famous story is, or at least the one that I continue to tell over and over, is Far Cry 2. I played a number of years late, and this is white privilege at its best, or at least Canadian healthcare privilege, maybe. I didn't know how serious malaria was. So when I got malaria in Far Cry 2, I'm like, well, that's okay. I'll just walk it off. I don't
just walk it off.
Probably don't need to get that taken care of.
That's what they made them do in Vietnam too.
Well, especially in the game, I didn't think this was going to be fatal, and it was. So the game ended up like auto saving at a place that had me so far from the guy who was supposed to help me that I couldn't get there fast enough. And the closest that I had made it was like I'd driven as far as I could, as fast as I could, trying to avoid all combat. And I get to this guy's front lawn, and I'm running up, and my health just starts dying, and I just collapse like on his front lawn.
You feel at that point that guy would run out and help you.
Please, yes. Like, I'm here. I felt like in Pulp Fiction when they bring Uma Thurman up, they're supposed to give her the needle. Like, come on, just somebody carry me up the steps. So yeah, that was my first Far Cry. I played a little on the Wii, actually, now that I remember. And I remember thinking there's actually something wrong with my Wii because it looks so bad. Like it looked like I remember it looking like Wolfenstein 3.
They made a Far Cry game for the Wii.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. So I don't think that one really counts. But for serious, I dabbled in 3 just a little bit, but I played the crap out of Primal, actually.
Primal was one that I wanted to play for a long time. I finally picked that up cheap recently, and I can't wait to dig into it.
Yeah,
I just love the idea of it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because isn't it like using the same map as 3, but a million years earlier? Yeah,
I don't know
if
it's the same map or not, but it was basically using 3 as it's exactly, like it just seems like a level pack for 3 almost.
I think there'd be more mountains in no, not in 3. 4 is the mountains.
Yeah, 4 is the mountains.
That's still in the wrapper. I've got a problem with buying games and never playing them.
But I think that's probably good that you took like a break from Primal to 5.
Yep.
That you're fresh with the gameplay there. Did you play Wildlands at all?
A little bit. I've never finished it, but I want to, especially with this new year of content. Division, Far Cry. Like, I'm loving Ubisoft these days.
Yeah, they have a lot of continuing content for all of their games.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They seem to be the ones who have figured that out.
Yeah.
I'm just not good at Wildlands, so I need to kind of play a little bit more on my own, because I do want to play that with kind of like a crew and play some multiplayer on that, but I suck. And so like you're supposed to be kind of stealthy. You go up with your binoculars and try to spot everybody out. And I'm just like, I'm so bad at stealth in all games. And so when I bring down a crew, I feel bad and totally incompetent. So sometime I'll get back to that game though.
All right. What else you got?
I've been playing A Way Out. And this is that Joseph Fares game, the EA original, of course, where you play co-op and you're breaking out of jail.
Oh, that came out?
I know, right?
I mean, it was the same day as Sea of Thieves, so it's understandable that you would forget about it.
I guess, but I mean, for as much noise as they were making about that game, I'm kind of actually shocked that it wasn't a bigger release. Anyway.
Well, he did say that it was the best game ever made, and you are guaranteed to like it. So maybe they figured that was his biggest splash they'd want to make, like at the Video Game Awards.
Could be.
I don't agree with this this hype. I have heard a lot of people are enjoying it, and I think a couple of the things that it does in terms of putting you in cool spots with a partner or a co-op player, it is really neat. And I love being able to see their side of the game on the exact same screen as mine, even if we're playing separately or online. Mm-hmm. And the way that the game sort of puts focus on one of these players is doing the more interesting thing. And I think that's like a huge takeaway that other future co-op games could do.
So the ones that are like screen bigger.
Yeah. That's and it'll cool. Kind of have a more dynamic camera angle for that person. Meanwhile, like if I'm just walking and the other person's job is to convince a guard that something is wrong or that there's a situation they need to be made aware of, I'm just walking, so that's boring, and my screen's super small, but the conversation takes a little bit more of a cinematic type of look and feel. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool because I'm like, I can just hold forward and I can look at my friend Brock's screen and see what he's up to. And so that part is really interesting. There's a couple of spots that allow you to distract people in interesting and cool ways. So that for that part, I like it. But the unfortunate part is the story is just so cliche. And to me, I think that you can do cliche and be funny and be kind of self-aware. But I don't think that this is self-aware. Like I think they're like really like you gotta really care about what this wife is gonna. Oh, and by the way, she's pregnant, and like just it's too much. And the thing that this game really could have hit out of the park is the voice acting and the performances. And it probably would have saved some of its other shortcomings, but it's just as bad. It's just so flat. And yeah, I don't know. I'm about an hour from finishing it, and I just kind of want to be done with it is kind of how I feel about A Way Out, which is too bad. But for me, I don't know, maybe I was expecting too much out of it, and also the people you play with are probably, determines how much fun you're going to have it. If all you're doing is making fun of the voice acting, you're going to be more aware of it. And that's kind of what we've been doing, unfortunately.
There was the same studio that made A Tale of Two Brothers, right?
Yeah, Brothers. What the heck was it? Is some
Tale of Two Sons. Sorry, Brothers. Tale of Two Sons. Yeah. And I got to be honest, I thought that game was overrated. I played through it. It was an interesting mechanic. Where each brother was controlled by one of the thumbsticks, so it was a single player co-op game basically. But yeah, I thought it wore thin fast. So I don't know. I haven't had as high hopes for this game as it seems some people. I know that a friend of the show, Rich Grisham, talks up Tale of Two Sons like crazy. He loved that game.
He's probably hated everything I just said. He probably loves this game.
You never know.
It's good. It's good. It's just not. It's not the greatest game ever. It's not the worst game ever. We're now also living in a post Telltale world.
Yeah.
Right. Where these narrative games where you can make these decisions that are gut wrenching, and I don't feel like we really ever got that, or that any situation really felt like we were really screwed. So, and slight spoiler, you get out of jail way too soon. The most interesting stuff is in jail.
That's too bad.
So.
Now, are you playing this as part of the Friend Pass thing, or did you actually buy a copy?
No, luckily I did not buy a copy.
Okay.
So I haven't spent a dime on this, so I don't know what full disclosure we need to have out there. But it's cool because I think there was a narrative out there, or a rumor maybe, that when you buy the game, you could give it to just one other person, but that's actually not the case at all. Anybody can you just download the trial, and then anybody who owns it can invite you into their game, and they can do that with as many people as they want. They don't have to choose a single person to play with them. So that is very, very cool.
That's good to remove that barrier of entry. right?
Big time.
I mean,
Probably didn't help their sales too much, but
yeah, I'm curious how it did.
Yeah, that's
because I don't want it to be the last thing like it. Which is also, I don't know if you guys get this when you talk poorly about a game or you kind of have a bad experience with it, and you want to be clear that like we all want games to be great. Like anytime that we're having some sort of assessment of a game, like you want that game to be good. Nobody wants to play a bad game, and I don't want this to be the last game like it. Like I hope that they sort of further refine this, because a lot of the gameplay stuff has never been done before, but this is not the best game you've ever played. So
you hope that, or you hope that somebody else at another studio sees the merit in what you've done or what somebody else has done and like runs with it.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, a different take might be what you need to really push it across the finish line. But
in this time where like we have a lot of big budget AAA games that are, very multiplayer focused or very microtransaction focused, you wonder if a game like The Last of Us Part 2 or whatever happens to that franchise later, if they would incorporate something like that into something of that caliber, right? Where it's a part of the game, but it's not the whole game. So you could play it in a 2-hour chunk where somebody else plays half the story, right? That could be interesting.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. That would be something.
Yeah. That's where I see this kind of gameplay idea going, because I don't know if this is the type of thing that AAA studios would go after, right? It might just be too innovative.
It would be
for
risky.
Somebody to say here, unless you're Rockstar, and in which case, if they do a Bully sequel, they should totally do this.
Bully sequel.
Well, and the best thing of it is that it's a tight experience. Like you have to take so many other things into consideration, that the fact that both players are experiencing the same game at the same, the simultaneous nature of it, you have to have a different game. The other side of it is that how many of us can actually schedule having that person available through the entirety of the game. So like co-op from Far Cry is great because it's totally optional. But if you need to have somebody play through like a big AAA budget game, like you don't even want that. At least I don't want that game to be much more than 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 hours tops kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking totally. I was thinking like Uncharted would be cool, or like maybe like an episodic type of Uncharted with Nathan Drake and Sully. They would have like really cool, like the characters would actually overcome what a lot of the shortcomings of A Way Out is experiencing, I think, because everybody loves Nate and everybody loves Sully, and their interaction, their relationship is incredible.
Right.
It'd be cool to see them get themselves out of some hairy situations like that.
Themselves out of a jam.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
They got themselves into this time.
Exactly. All right, that all you got?
That's pretty much it for me. Just a little Stardew Valley on the side on my Switch, and that's it.
Nice. All right. Well, I of course have still been playing Sea of Thieves.
I still haven't seen the Kraken.
I see you on all the time. That is so awesome.
I am kind of addicted to the game, I would say. Yeah, I play a lot. Occasionally jump in with randoms. Occasionally there'll be people either from Resetera or off my friends list who are playing that I'll jump in with and just do a couple missions. And it's just kind of a fun social experience. And, there's not a whole lot of pressure now because I'm like level 25 in 2 of the factions.
Holy cow.
So I'm not really making enough progress on those to even really matter. So it almost doesn't matter if someone sinks me and steals all of my chests. It's usually fine. And when I've been playing solo, I do a couple missions. I will take like my last chest, whatever the chest is that I would normally cash in last, which is usually one of the middle or lower end chests. I'll put it in the door of the tavern on the outpost that I'm on. So somebody who's going to start the game next and walk out of the tavern will have a chest right there. I'm going to paint it forward for
that's so nice.
Who's playing. Yeah. And a couple times I've had like today, I had another sloop sail up to the outpost that I was at. They didn't fire on me. I didn't fire on them.
And because I wasn't with you.
Yeah, you weren't there to fire first. Exactly. I gave them a chest and a chicken. They were doing Merchant Alliance missions, and I was like, "Hey, do you want this chicken and this empty chicken coop that I have? Here you go." And I find that kind of thing just really fun. And I agree with all of the criticisms that the game has gotten, that it's sort of content bare and the progression isn't great. I mean, I agree with that, but I am having a lot of fun just sailing around, doing stuff with a group. Greg, we played last week as well, crashing into islands, having to repair holes down below, and it's just fun.
Fantastic.
Part
It's
of
a fun,
aging, I think, too.
it's a fun
repairing your
time
holes.
waster, and it's actually taking my time away from Far Cry 5, which I do want to play more of, but I'm just having too much fun in Sea of Thieves.
Have you bought anything? Have you like got some sweet clothes, or you go after a set of sales or anything like that? Because I want that so badly, and I'm very distracted by the economy in this game.
Yeah, you know, when I started playing, I was distracted by the economy as well, because it's 70,000 gold for
Yes.
customizations to your
Lord.
ship, and each thing is 70,000. So it's 70,000 to customize the ship itself, 70,000 to customize the sails, and then another 70,000 to customize the figurehead on the bow. So there's kind of a lot
Why?
going
Why
on
did
there.
they do that?
But I think now I've done 2 skeleton forts. Just finished up one on Friday night, and that nets you like 13K each time. And if you spend a night with friends doing a bunch of higher level missions, you usually bring in at least 5 grand of gold. And already I have the clanking grog tankards ship, and I have the sails to go with it. I just got the sails today, so I'm very, very pleased about that. Hopefully that will signal to other ships that I'm not going to fire on them, because I've got the grog tankards as a skin. I don't know if that's going to work. Probably not. But
You should just have like peace signs on your sails. That would be awesome.
How does that?
Yeah.
How does that
Peace,
work
man.
then? Is it like if you've got the ship upgrades, if you're the leader, is that the idea? Like, how are the ship upgrades applied?
You have to go to there's a particular vendor that is at an outpost dock, and there's a chest by them that you can select your active upgrades. So each time I start the game, I have to select the tankards of grog stuff for the ship.
What I'm asking is, like, you're in a crew with up to 3 other people. How is it decided?
I think just whoever changes it in that chest gets to do it. I think it gathers all of those customizations together into one place.
Okay.
Cool. As far as I know. Yeah. So, Sean, I know you gave this a 6 out of 10.
I know, but listening to you play, and I
stand
stand by it. I stand by it. I definitely do. But hearing you talk about it and the joy, like in your face, you're just joyous, and your whole like, I want to experience that. But then I am always reminded that I just want those sweet, sweet sails, and it's going to take me 17 hours to get them. And that's it. Like, I can't buy anything along the way. I can't splurge or get a little something while I'm doing it. It's got to be dedicated and disciplined. And I just don't know if I've got that in me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the economy needs to get reworked, because there are so many different customizations that are locked off of your player level. Yeah. So there are things that I don't even have access to buy with gold until I'm like level 39, 40 and higher. Mm-hmm. And that's going to take a long time. I don't even know if I'm going to get to that point. So they should have more content and spread it out so that people who start playing the game can have something to aspire to, because a lot of those little upgrades, you want them, but you're going to fall off and not play it again if you have to get 70,000 gold for each part of your ship, right? Yeah. Like, they could have used that as a nice carrot to get people to come back, and they are not doing that. So that is seriously unfortunate.
These games, more than anything, though, like, and it's almost too bad that the whole early access stuff has taken over, because it's so easy to just kind of call this, oh, it's early access, they're going to fix it later. Like, I wouldn't go so far to say that. Like, this is a far cry from, I don't know about like playing PUBG early access. Very, very different. There's a lot of games that are not as well off at the start. But I think about like Ghost Recon as an example. I think about The Division. I think about some of these other games that you could have said that then too, but it's almost like early access hadn't really caught on for everybody to use that as to cast an insult to those games. But certainly those games have changed so much, and they have figured there's always something. Like, maybe the game went too far and they've got back a couple things off. I think this game didn't quite go far enough and they've got to add on. I don't hold that against Rare in really any way. It's just, to me, it was a little bit like conflicting on, if this game is supposed to be like the non-competitive, like the one that anybody can jump in and play, this is the accessible one. There are certain things that were missing for me for that to align, I guess. So like, this is like anybody can, there's no leveling up. There's no matter if you play for 1 or 100 hours, like you're not any more powerful, which speaks to accessibility, but you're kind of on your own to figure out, how do I get a voyage and how do I like actually sail this thing? So there's some conflicting aspects to the game that are kind of weird to me, but I can't wait to see them tweak. I haven't deleted this game. I will go back. I am excited to see what they've got in store. And I really, although I'm cautiously optimistic, I worry that what they have more is things for us to purchase, like with real money.
Yeah.
Possible. That's possible. And there are a lot of customizations that were in the alpha and beta that are not in the game right now. So they are holding at least a few things back. And they could have, I mean, they do have a live producer, a live events producer, and they haven't done anything with that. They could do like a double gold weekend or a
or
a Merchant Alliance weekend or a shipwreck weekend where all the bounty from shipwrecks is doubled, or like whatever. Like, they could do those things, I hope, with what they have now. If they didn't have those things planned, why did they have a live producer that they did a video about last summer? I mean, they don't seem to have any of that stuff like ready to go, and it's unfortunate. And yeah, I agree that the initial onboarding and tutorial phase is real bad. And oftentimes I have joined a galleon game with 2 other friends. So we're joining a solo person on a galleon who never played the game before and has no idea what they're doing. And
so if you're replaying that intro, basically, like, you're the tutorial, which is taxing on a lot of people, I think. And if you're having to do that over and over and over again, you're like, I'm kind of having the same experience every time, and I'm not really getting into the rest of it. And then when you do get into the rest of it, you're like, oh, that's kind of it. So depending on just like your path and your own onboarding can really kind of like color your experience one way or another.
Totally. But I do value games as somebody who generally does not dump hundreds of hours into games either. I do value experiences like Sea of Thieves, where you can hop on and have a quick fun game for like an hour and a half.
Totally.
Or games like Friday the 13th, where, you know, there is a level progression in Friday the 13th. It doesn't really net you a whole lot, some customizations, but the fun of that game is the situations that you run into, right? And the people you're playing with are very much a part of that. And Sea of Thieves is exactly that same kind of game too, where the amount of fun that you're going to have is entirely dependent on who else is playing with you and who else is in the server that you're on, and whether they're going to grief you or follow you for 2 hours or whatever it is they're going to do, right? I'm very excited to see how the whole thing turns out. They did say last week they're going to release a video this upcoming week with their roadmap on addressing some of the feedback that they've gotten so far, which I hope also covers some of the content stuff, because that would be good. But I really do want to see Microsoft get behind this game. And even though it's got whatever it has on Metacritic, like low 60s or mid 60s, I want to see them continue on with this.
So I was way off then, Chris.
This could be good later, right? I mean, this could evolve. I mean, you look at games like Splatoon, which when they came out, and people said, "Oh, this isn't enough content," and they fixed that. In the subsequent months, or games like Overwatch, which started as a very bare bones experience, and they added to it over time, and now you're up to a situation with The Division or Wildlands where they have events going and all this stuff. And Far Cry, they're kind of doing that right from the start. You kind of hope that Sea of Thieves becomes that type of game.
I feel like they're the thing that's helping them is actually the fact that they had people pay a premium up front, as weird as that is to say, because it's not like you have people who are canceling subscriptions. You've got the game now,
except for Game Pass. Except for Game
Pass. But I mean, I don't know what percentage of the people playing are Game Pass people as compared to people who paid for it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's enough. People actually bought it.
If it's enough, like, you've got sort of that captive audience, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
And kind of lucky in a way that they released early in the year, because it's not like there's tons of other games to compete with right now,
except for God of War and Yakuza and
Detroit's after that. I mean, Ubisoft could be to the rescue here too, because before The Division and Ghost Recon and a few of the others, I think this would be almost like a death sentence. At this early on, you kind of make or break those launches. But after seeing Ubisoft really hang on to, especially Division, people are like making giant videos about why 2018 The Division is the best version yet.
Right,
and that could be the future for Sea of Thieves, where other games like Battleborn, what used to be the narrative. Where a game comes out and it's like, well, it didn't really, or even Lawbreakers is a recent example, didn't really light the world on fire, and just a smaller studio in that case just couldn't really keep it going.
Right.
I don't think Microsoft, I think, has to make this one go. I think they need something. They need a win, and that
they seem dedicated.
It wasn't a win rate at the start. Yeah, it could be a win 6 months down the road. Could be a win a year out. Right. And I would be even more impressed if they actually did that. If somehow 2019's version of Sea of Thieves brings all the people back. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And you're right. They do need a win. I think that's probably why they're more likely to stick with this one. I mean, they've already dumped a lot of promotional time and money into making those deals for hard drives. And there's a Chips Ahoy promotion coming.
Didn't they shoot a guy out of a cannon?
Yeah, they shot a guy out of a cannon.
Set a world record for this game?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a publicity stunt.
Cannons on ships. There's a tie-in.
Yeah.
It made sense.
I hope it's a situation like Rainbow Six Siege, which came out
totally.
And didn't sell well initially, but like ramped up, and now it's a pretty big game still.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, Ubisoft is repackaging it and reselling it for $60. That's how much confidence they have in it now.
Which confuses the heck out of me as an owner of the game. I'm like, do I need to buy this again? Like, I don't really understand. I need to look into that. I need to read patch notes better.
Got standard and premium. It's all crazy.
I don't know. Too many gold editions.
Yes. I played a little bit of Far Cry 5, but not enough to really talk about it. But I did get these little things here. I'm showing them on.
Nice.
The not Meebo Sony Bloodborne and Parappa the Rapper figures.
They look so weird side by side.
Yeah, isn't that
the Bloodborne guy and Parappa the Rapper?
That's right. Not exactly what you'd expect, but they're cool little things. They have no NFC functionality in games whatsoever, but they're kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one for Sea of Thieves coming on Tuesday because of course I bought that. It's the Gold Hoarder from Sea of Thieves. I don't even think he's in the game. It's a skeleton dude made of gold. I don't think he's in the game anyway, but they made a not Meebo of him.
Not Meebo.
I hope that's what they call them. Somebody should have the guts to call that
not Meebo.
Yeah, on the package.
The Sea of Thieves character should be more just a blind grab, kind of blind bag kind of thing, just like the game. Like, you don't really, just a random character you just buy, you're stuck with it.
You mean they call it a blind bag, but it's all the same character?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think we should, at this time, let me bring up my soundboard.
I was going to say, don't you have the soundboard ready? Come on,
I think
man,
now.
One job.
That means it's time for tweets.
Tweet, 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 tweet.
I thought one of you guys was going to do an impression of it. That was amazing. I was wondering how that was going to work out. Magic of technology. And now that's in my head for the next 3 days. Thanks.
Indeed.
At least you don't live it every week.
I do. I listen. I still. I mean,
true.
You can. If you watch the videos, the eyes. He looks right into the camera. It's good times.
Yeah. Let's do this one from Hacker Alias GP9328, who says, "What first-party sequel would you like to see Microsoft announce at E3 this year?"
Announce. So we're not talking Crackdown at this point.
That's right.
I would love to see another. Oh God, what the heck was the name of that series?
Halo.
No, yeah. I don't know if I'd love to see another Halo.
Don't you think if they do announce Halo, don't you think they have to evolve it in some way? I mean, Combat Evolved was the first Halo, but don't you think they're going to have to do that again now that you have competition from all these shooters that are doing all kinds of different things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it'd be better if I don't know, if they just get the quality level back up to the old Halos.
Yeah, but what does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. If I knew, I would have lots of money and work it to 343. But no, Alan Wake. I'd love to see an Alan Wake sequel, another Alan Wake game.
That's not going to happen, right?
I know it's not going to happen, but that's what I'd like to see. That's not the question. The question was what's going to happen. The question was what would you like to see?
That's true. You're right,
jerk.
What do you think, Sean?
I kind of want to see a Halo. But I agree with you, Chris, that it has to be different. And that's the reason why I don't think that what I want will happen this year. Two things could happen. They could announce Halo 6 and it's just like Halo 5, the next chapter or whatever. And I'm of the camp actually that prefers the 343 games. This is probably I go back to like the single player, just talk about the campaigns. I play the single player campaigns of like 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know where the hell to go. Like, I don't think the level design is actually very good at all. And having go back to play those in Master Chief Collection, I am playing with friends and we're all just kind of like, wait, where are we supposed to go? We wander around and it's not even just me. It's just, I don't think that the level design is actually, it caters to kind of just flowing the player to the next scene. I don't know. It just doesn't really hold up. I love the enemy. I don't like the flood. I'm not a fan of the flood in Halo games. And I like the Prometheans. I like what 343 is doing. Just kind of I like what they're doing with Cortana, which is weird. I know, like I feel like I'm not even supposed to say this. You're supposed to keep these opinions to yourself. I know, but I like it. I do.
Confessions.
The story, of course, was a mess in 5, going back and forth. But I'm not a purist to say like I want every level to be Master Chief. I didn't care that it was split in that way. So I would love a Halo 6, but I don't think that they can really make the impact that they need to make for Halo to be what it was, unless they kind of follow Bungie's footsteps and do a bit of a Destiny kind of thing. Like I don't know if that's even worthwhile.
I mean, whatever they do, it's going to be compared to Destiny, right?
Of course, yeah. Or whatever the next like, is there something beyond that like we don't even know? Because like I'm a dumb Canadian. I don't know what I want more than Destiny, but Destiny does seem to be leaving a void in people right now that they're kind of messing that up. So maybe there's an opportunity for 343 to swoop in.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch that because I think Polygon did an article this past week, like about Destiny 2 failing or losing steam or whatever it is. And I kind of think, those communities for some of those games are very insular, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes I feel like the press and even just from an outside perspective, you don't see everything that's going on. You don't see the player numbers. You don't see the population numbers. You don't really know if everybody feels the same way that the vocal minority of people posting on 343's website about the game feels, right? It's really hard. It's really hard to say, like, looking at Overwatch, which is a game I play often, does everybody feel that this or that character is overpowered or not good or whatever? Like, can you do an article as a journalist that such and such game?
I think what you're saying though is just as a journalist, unless you are part of that community, you're definitely on the outside looking in.
That's yeah.
I mean, I could totally see that.
Even if you're on the inside, I think you have a bit of an echo chamber. You're probably a little bit biased towards your own views of that game rather than the casual player, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, Microsoft sequel. Let's see. Crimson Skies 2. Is that a possibility?
Do you really want that?
I'm
serious. I feel like every time someone brings up Crimson Skies, I'm curious if they've played that recently.
Right.
I think the theme of Crimson Skies, I haven't played the game in a long time, I will admit, but I thought that it was doing interesting things and it was something different, and really that's what I want to see Microsoft do. I want to see them do something different.
I agree with that sentiment.
I don't want to see Microsoft's version of Destiny. I don't want to see Microsoft's version of Overwatch. I want to see something like Midtown Madness 4.
Yes, I want to see like early Xbox Microsoft.
Yeah. I want to see
not Rise 2.
Which one?
We don't want Rise 2. Remember Rise, that Son of Rome?
Oh,
yeah.
Son of Rome.
I don't think they could bring back Rise yet. No. I think there will come a time.
The world's not ready.
No, I think there will come a time, 10 years on, mark my words, people are going to be like, man, that Rise game was pretty good. Remember that?
No.
But you can almost hear like the wheels squeaking in everybody's head listening to this, and maybe even in your guys' heads too, going like, okay, so Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable. That's like, this question is tough because it's not really a whole bunch of really storied franchises. They're big ones, the ones that exist are there, they're massive, but really not even anymore.
Well, what I think makes Sony and Nintendo exclusives good is that they're not just doing what everybody else in the industry is doing, right?
Yeah.
Sony, you have, Ubisoft and Electronic Arts doing their multi-platform titles, which sort of fill that first-person shooter action game niche, which is not a niche, it's mainstream stuff. But then you have games like The Inpatient or Until Dawn or the David Cage stuff.
Bloodborne.
Exactly. Yeah, those games that nobody else is going to do as a third party, and I feel like Microsoft has to find their place with that. They have to find what makes a unique Xbox game.
I think you're right. I think it's whether it's them making it or whether it's them going out and paying someone else to do it, because that's what they used to do. And they don't seem to anymore. It seemed like right near the, I mean, it happened a little bit with the 360 as well, but it feels like with the one, it just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Classic putting all your eggs into maybe 4 baskets.
Yeah.
Like, there's just not that. Sony diversified, and they were like, well, we've got Halo. It's almost a little bit of arrogance. Like they're kind of suffering a little bit from a generation of arrogance where you don't need anything more than Halo. You don't need anything more than Gears that funds the whole operation. And then all of a sudden people don't care about Halo.
Right, and they closed a lot of their other studios that were giving them that other stuff.
Yep.
All right, let's do this one from Hacker Alias, that one weirdo guy who says, my friends and I just attended PAX East for the first time. While we enjoyed the experience overall, there were long lines prevented from seeing everything we wanted. What shows have you guys attended, and were any of them hampered by high attendance?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck playing more than one game you really wanted to play.
Well, I mean,
one of these shows, even E3.
Yeah, I was going to say E3, especially Nintendo's booth every year. Yeah. Especially since this. I mean, I haven't even been there for years, but just the stories that you see about E3 always center around the line going around Nintendo's booth. Mm-hmm. And forget that, man. No way. I do not have the time to stand in those lines for that stuff.
Do you remember the PAX East that we stood in line for The Last of Us?
Yep. Wasn't worth it.
That was 2.5 hours that we stood there.
It wasn't worth it. Yeah.
To play The Last of Us.
I think that shows like that are great, and they definitely serve a purpose. And I've learned that I'm not, maybe if I was like 20 years younger, not that I'm saying that I'm too old to stand in a line, but I just don't, I don't care. I don't care to stand in a line to play something like that when I know I'll be able to play the actual game in like 6 months.
Yeah. I've never understood this at all. Having gone to a couple Comic Cons, and there's always some stuff sort of around like the side, like San Diego Comic Con had Nintendo. They had a booth around the corner and stuff like that, and it's just like it's not even a very good slice of the game that you're playing, or it's too early, or there's somebody like hovering over top of you. It's not a very good experience. I've often wondered like how this is still a thing. Like, are there so many people who are so dissimilar to us who enjoy every moment of waiting in that line, and then when they finally got to that subpar experience, they're like, "This is amazing." Is that a thing?
I think that there definitely are. I mean, I know, like CJ, you can talk about this too, but like even going to E3, I know as I was going to more E3s and as I was further into my career, we got to the point where we had seen a lot of the stuff that was at E3
beforehand, right?
But for someone who wasn't, who'd only heard or seen about that stuff like pictures in magazines or something like that, I could totally see if you're super excited. I could see like 14-year-old me going to E3 and just being dazzled.
Yeah,
by it. Like maybe it was when you went to like CESs or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's just like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I can't wait to get to actually sit and play a Super Nintendo, like something like that. I would probably have waited in those lines too. But, and I think maybe for me personally, I'm a little bit spoiled now too, because I went to so many of those shows where I was a member of the press and I didn't have to deal with it.
Right.
So now that I'm, not anymore, I don't want to deal with it. But yeah, the last time when we went to PAX East, I just felt like I wasted so much time standing in that line, and I was not going to do it again.
Yeah. My policy now with shows like that is I don't want to play anything unless I can step right up to the kiosk and play immediately. I don't want to play anything.
If the wait's more than like 5 minutes, I just move on.
Yeah. In part because of that Last of Us experience where we've waited 2.5 hours in a line standing, and then I got up there and played, and I think I died like 3 times, and it was the worst experience. I was just like, you know what? I should have just waited to play this in November, whenever that game came out, because it's a demo. It's around dozens of other people watching your screen. Like, it's just not a great experience. And I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's Nintendo, in which case I'll run in when they open the doors at E3 and try to play something like Mario Odyssey, like I did last year.
See, and I've had that so many times in previous years where I'm just walking around, and at the end of the day, I realize I might have played like 2 things. And I literally get to the point like where I'm like, I don't know what to do now. Like I'm not waiting any of these lines, and there's nothing else to do.
But the great thing about shows like PAX, and I think if I was going to PAX, not as somebody who's working at PAX, but as someone who's just attending it, is I would go to a bunch of the panels, and
that is
out in the game rooms. I would bring my Switch and play Network Mario Kart and Splatoon and all this other stuff. Like, I do everything else around the show, and not necessarily be waiting in lines to play demos of things that come out in 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about GDC, right? The GDC, the show floor, is so secondary.
That's true.
It's all about.
I never even went there this year.
Yeah, I walked through a couple times, but I was way more. I mean, I was in a lot of meetings too, but in the times that I wasn't in meetings, it's like, oh, what cool panel is on right now? Definitely going and doing that.
Indeed. All right, let's do this one from hacker alias Mathman1024, who says, "What games have you purchased with the intention of playing but have never gotten around to?"
Hundreds.
At what point do you give up on ever playing that title?
Usually about a week after I buy it.
I've got Bayonetta 2 staring me in the face. Final Fantasy 15's over there. Kane and Lynch is like the original. Actually, no, I shouldn't say Kane and Lynch. Kane and Lynch is still in the wrapper. But reason, this is the one that takes the cake, guys. It's I bought a PlayStation 3 because of Metal Gear 4. Like, I went at and it was so expensive. It was because it's a Blu-ray player, of course. And I bought Metal Gear 4 full price, whatever, $70 or Canadian it was back then. And just, I remember watching it just fall in price. And I still hadn't
played it.
Get to it. And you just watch it go from like 60 to 50 to 30 to 15. You're just like, why did I do it? Actually prompted me to set myself back a year in gaming, where I'm like, why do I buy anything new? I'll just buy what was coming out last year. and I had a nice year of budget gaming, and then realized, well, that was stupid, because then instead of buying one $60 game, I buy six $10 games. And that's how I have games like Kane and Lynch sitting around.
It's much easier to purchase those because they're so cheap. It's like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, now my backlog is ridiculous. I had to create an actual closet for my games that I probably will never play.
Yeah.
I find actually too that the digital distribution has made things worse.
For which
now I don't have the added guilt of having games still in the cellophane staring me in the face on the shelves.
Yeah.
But I know I have hard drives full of games I haven't ever played and probably will never play. Yeah, they probably all cost me like $1 or $2. But
yeah,
there's hundreds of them.
A little while ago, I went through because I was staring at games. I'm like, I promise I will play you, but it's taking up space on my hard drive, and I have to go over that one to get to the game that I actually want to play. And it's actually a very therapeutic experience. I actually do recommend it for a lot, because it is something that can only exist in the digital space. I don't think you can do it quite as easily with physical. Of course, you can donate or return or sell back or whatever, but you can't as quickly just kind of like get rid of it. I'll download that later, and then it's really out of sight, out of mind at that point.
I do like what's happened on the current consoles. I don't know if Switch does this, but I think the PlayStation does this, but the Xbox does for sure. Is having the screen of ready to play, ready to install. I really like that for that exact reason, because I have that terrible habit of buying things and then not playing them, and then eventually needing space and deleting them. And it's like, for me, if it's like out of sight, out of mind, it's like, well, I'll never play that now for sure, because I won't even remember I own it. At this point. But having that page, there's like, oh, okay. If I have like an hour one day and I just want to play something new, it's like, I haven't played that ever. And download speeds are pretty fast now for most of the smaller digital games. So you actually having it there and knowing that it's ready to install, it's actually a really nice feature.
Totally. Those are the telltale games for me, like Borderlands and Batman and stuff. They're there. I will get to you guys, I promise.
Oh yeah, I have that too. The
They just had a sale.
Yeah, they did. The problem now, I'm all digital, so I don't have any games in the cellophane staring me in the face. Instead, I have things like Assassin's Creed Origins, where I've played like an hour, and I just haven't gone back to it, right? Because something else came out, and I played that instead. And then by the time I come back to it, it doesn't feel like I remember the tutorial of the game.
Oh, that's the worst.
Just don't like pick it back up again. And aside from that, things like games with gold and PlayStation Plus, like I'll download those things, or at least now I'll add them to my library, but never actually play them.
Yeah.
But see, I don't care so much about those, because as bad as this is, the price for gold and plus is kind of a price you have to pay on those consoles at this point if you ever want to play online.
Yeah.
So those truly do feel like free games. So I really don't care if I miss them or I never play them. They still feel like if there's one that I really want to play that comes up for free, like it feels like a bonus.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I used to download all of the games that were out on
me
Plus, or games with gold that month. Now I really will only add to library the ones that I'm like, well, maybe I'll someday want to try this.
Yeah.
So like Mad Max is on PlayStation Plus, and I think it's on Game Pass also. So really there's no reason for me to download it on PlayStation, but
You're never going to play that. You're never going to play Mad Max.
You're right. I'm never going to play it. But what if
I've heard it's good, but
it's pretty good.
What if one day I'm like, you know what? After watching Mad Max Fury Road for the third time or fourth time or whatever, I'm like, I want to play a Mad Max game. Then I can.
And you're like, I had some stupid principled reason why I didn't add that to library, and it wouldn't have changed anything. I should have just done it.
Exactly. By then it might be out of Game Pass. It'll be expired or whatever, and I won't have it, and I'll have to buy it for $9.99 or whatever it'll cost me.
Here's the cautionary tale. I skipped getting, because I have done this. I have had that, like, I don't need to download everything. And I skipped downloading Borderlands, whatever it was, Borderlands 1 or 2. I think it was a 360 game that was on Games with Gold, because I'd played with my wife on PlayStation. We have Handsome Collection on PlayStation. So why would I need it on Xbox? Like, I've got it over there. So I'm going to skip this one until all of my friends download Borderlands on Xbox. And they're like, let's play co-op. And I totally don't have that game because of my principled reaction to it. Really stupid. So anything multiplayer, anything co-op, even like with the whole you don't have crossplay with all these games, maybe just add it to live, just in case when somebody wants to play some of those older games, a little co-op.
Yeah, it's probably the smartest thing to do. Totally. But I just honestly don't even pay attention anymore. I'm bad for that now.
Well, they make it pretty difficult for you too, splitting it up in the month and whatnot.
Yeah, Xbox, the 2 and 2, the thing that they do, I never remember to check like the latter half of the month. All right, let's do this one from Hacker Alias Trash Turkey, who says, what's your favorite sound effect soundbite in gaming? Also, how does Sean Capri take his coffee?
Grouchy Surge, you know how I take my coffee, man. 3 sweeteners. That's it.
That's right.
What?
Large coffee, 3 sweeteners.
And they're $1 this week.
Will kill you.
Apparently, well, I've got my Diet Pepsi here too, so I'm just
stuff will kill you too.
Loading up on aspartame.
Yeah, load on the aspartame. Yep.
Yeah.
I can't drink anything with aspartame in it. Get a headache immediately.
I used to get a headache without it. I got used to it.
Really?
Nutrition.
You muscled through that, did you?
I muscled through it.
Now my brain's just numb.
And now I love it.
I'm happy all the time.
Now my teeth taste like metal.
Favorite soundbite or sound effect?
Oh,
I think the exclamation point in Metal Gear is one of my favorites ever.
It's iconic. It's pretty iconic. I mean, Mario's jump.
Yeah,
classic one. The old NES games.
Yeah.
I love a lot of the Metal Gear. I keep thinking of like the second floor basement, or what was that noise? A lot of the stuff from Metal Gear is really good.
A hind D.
It's not really a sound effect. That's voiceover.
He said soundbite. He said soundbite.
He said soundbite.
I think it counts.
What about the Sonic ring noise?
Yeah, the Sonic ring noise was definitely on my mind. I didn't want to be the one to say it.
I don't even like Sonic, but that's one.
Was it Impossible Mission? I think it was the game Impossible Mission that if you fell down an elevator shaft, it had this really great digitized scream that I loved. I absolutely loved.
A digitized scream. Okay.
Yeah, you'd have to look it up. I think it's called Impossible Mission.
Guys, remember in like Warcraft when you'd click on the character 100 times and they would like start to sing like No? Oh no! Oh no! I was really hoping you guys would know this. Hopefully somebody out there knows. So in Warcraft, especially Warcraft 2, you click on a character and like when you select them, they go like yes or yes sir. And if you
What is this?
He is roboting.
I'm roboting.
It's your microphone too. It's not your connection.
It's your microphone. There's something wrong with your microphone.
What's wrong with my microphone?
Your recording is going to be awesome.
He just wanted to do that.
Okay.
You literally jumped in to do the Hind D voice, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. You're sounding better now.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I turned off my my pornographic torrents.
I was downloading pornographs.
Did you really come in just to say that, or are you going to stick around?
Well, I mean, stick around. We're almost done.
So long, jerks.
We're almost done.
I just popped in. Say hi. Right. How's it going?
Well, what's your favorite sound effect in gaming or soundbite?
My favorite soundbite or sound effect in gaming. Let me think. You know what? You know what my favorite sound effect in gaming is? Mega Man 2. When after you beat Dr. Wily, and
that's an annoying sound.
Which sound?
The holograph turns off?
No. Okay. When you fall down the pit, and you land, and you're running through like a cave, and there are these little drops falling from the ceiling that make a nice, satisfying little kind of drippy noise.
That's true.
You know the sound effect I'm talking about?
I lived it yesterday.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. So yes, that is my favorite video game sound effect.
And actually, Phil, funnily enough, I actually said on the stream, I love this section because it was so brilliant of them not to put any music here,
right?
And just have the dripping.
Very atmospheric.
Yes.
I
see.
I agree. The number of occasions where I prefer there to be no sound except dripping is numerous. Numerous. I can't think of an occasion where I wouldn't rather just hear a nice soft drip as opposed to any other noise. And Mega Man 2 is certainly one of them.
Alrighty then.
Would you like to hear the rest? Well, we'll save that for our Patreon
show.
Only after
Player
show.
One After Dark.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna say the Game Boy horror thing from Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, actually,
Ring.
To me, Luigi humming along with the music.
That's great.
Way up there is one of my favorite things
Yes.
in game audio. Oh my god, so adorable.
All right, let's end it with this one from Hacker Alias Benjamin Rivers, who says, "Just sat with a friend so we could play and finish Castlevania 2 for the first time. It turned him into a fan of the game. Have you ever helped someone like a game?"
I had someone help me like a game. Was Batman Returns on the Genesis? Because that game is garbage when you first play it, unless you know how to play it.
I could never get into Batman Returns on the Genesis, probably because I never had anyone to show me the way.
I remember renting that from my best friend worked at the rental store, and I remember renting it and taking it home, bringing it back the next day. And he said, "How'd you like it?" And I was like, "It's trash. Like, I hated it. It's so bad." And of course, there was the awesome Brawler out on the Super Nintendo by Konami. So that was a lot to live up to. And he said, "Oh, why?" And I sort of went through the things. Like, I totally understand what you're saying, but you're not playing it right, which is so stupid. I hate that. I really hate that. But we like stood there and talked about it for a while longer, and he sort of gave me some. It's all about using the proper items at the proper time, and like that game really wants you to use the utility belt a lot, and when you start doing that, it's a whole different game.
This to me sounds like the 16-bit version of Get Good.
It totally is, which is why, and I don't have any patience for that normally, but that changed my opinion on that game.
Okay.
Like, completely turned it around.
There we go.
Sean, what about you?
I think this is Sea of Thieves for me. I think I helped a whole bunch of people really like this game, and then I just kind of turned on it. I was that person who was playing that first couple hours, telling everybody how look how awesome this is. You point your sails this way, and then you drop the anchor. You can do this weird e-brake turn. I love teaching people that stuff. And then like the fourth or fifth or seventh time that I taught somebody, I kind of got a little worn out on it. So that's a very recent example. But I think this is a hard thing too. Like, I don't know if you guys experience this too, but like you almost have to like temper your enthusiasm a little bit, because you can't say like this is the best game ever, and then their expectations are so high that they'll never like it. Like, anytime you really try to get people to like something, it's almost like their guard is up already. So this is a tough one. I love that you helped your friend through Castlevania 2 for the first time. That is amazing.
Let's talk about how great Castlevania 2 is.
Just change the question.
Never finished it.
So good.
It's good though.
I finished Castlevania 2 back in the day.
I feel like I've tried to help someone like a game every week on this podcast. I mean, Friday the 13th and Sea of Thieves and so many games. But back in the day, like when I first got hired on in EGM, there were two games I loved that I tried to convince other people on the staff were actually good games. No, that is not correct. One is Stunt Race FX on the Super Nintendo.
You're wrong. Keep going.
By the way, a horrible game, and I realize the error of my ways now. And the other one is Way of the Warrior, which I loved on the 3DO.
Oh my!
Yeah, that's right.
Did you?
But
I heard you main Shaky Jake.
I do main Shaky Jake. That's right.
Jake.
Revolving in a whirlpool of permanent
The intro is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying.
There you go.
All right. Is that a show?
I think that's a show.
I'd feel I just got here, so I'm ready to go.
I was like, wow, the show just flew by.
Hour and a half. I don't know about you guys.
Yes, indeed. Well, maybe we should do this before we go. Mm-hmm. We can announce the special announcement.
This is the real reason. This is the real reason I showed up.
This is the real reason.
This is the only reason. I was happy to turn control of the show over to Sean this week.
Thank you.
That was but you very well. Yeah. Oh, this is his show now.
It was never your show.
It didn't matter.
Well, like anybody who likes to hand things over, kind of second guesses that decision about halfway through. Like, no, wait, I want to come back. No, this is a bad choice.
No. I'm comfortable with this.
As you know, last year we went to Vegas for Scoop Fest because we were asked.
Hold on.
Yeah, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream
Festival. Yeah.
First of all, we went to Vegas so Phil could get White Castle. While we were there,
we're not doing that again.
You're not doing that again.
You're right.
You know what? I'll skip out on the actual event to go to this.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
No.
Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social.
Matt and Mattingly's Ice Creams. I can never say that whole name.
I noticed.
Why? I went for it.
How do you not? Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream
Social. I like how you dive
Mattingly.
into it, though. I like how you dive into it. It's like this time it's going to happen.
That's a word.
Mac and Matting
blah, 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 blah.
Little Mac.
Little Man Notional.
Yeah.
No, but we must have done a good job last year.
Man with a small what?
They've asked us back.
Yes.
For Scoop Fest 2018 to Scooptacular.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing another live show at Scoop Fest this year.
Awesome.
The dates are October 11th through the 14th, and on the 11th is a VIP night. So
we're not invited.
Only a few people can go to that. We will be going to that, and then the 12th through the 14th is when Scoop Fest actually is. You'll be able to see the live episode that we're going to record there, which will be fun, as well as a host of other very entertaining acts and podcasts that'll record throughout that weekend. It'll be absolutely awesome.
This year, Phil's actually going to do a live reading of the Mystical Ninja instruction booklet.
Right. He's just going to tell us all about that.
Last year was the summary. This year's the live reading.
Whole thing. If we get enough Patreon dollars, Sam Raimi will read it.
Yes.
Oh.
What's the goal for that?
$2, $2.75.
Well, never make it.
I will put the information in the show notes. We got a coupon code for you guys as well.
Coupon the movie.
If you want to come out, I think we should try to get some Player One folks out for Scoop Fest.
Oh yeah,
this year, because it was a really fun time, and of course we put that episode up on the feed. If you enjoyed that, I mean, we're going to be doing something similar at this year's show.
And I'm just going to say this: I had a hoot and a holler at Scoop Fest last year.
It was great.
I mean, it was great.
Great event.
Yeah. I mean, it was great doing our show live, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was certainly fun getting together with all you guys. But even just the rest of Scoop Fest, I mean, getting to see Ice Cream Social live, I mean, that is a hilarious pie. If you're not listening to Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social, head over to heyscoops.com. Check out their show. It is funny as dookie. And you will have a blast. And just seeing those guys live, and like Greg said, the Scoops, all the fans of the show are just like the best people. I had so much fun hanging out with them, meeting them. Some of them had listened to our show, so it was cool meeting them. A lot of them had not, but I know we picked up a fair amount of listeners.
We did,
just from Scoop Fest, and just again, like Greg said, just the nicest people. So
fantastic event. I'm sure we'll be talking about it more as we get towards October, but definitely consider coming because it's going to be an awesome time.
And man, the amount of things that are legal in Vegas.
No kidding.
I mean, come for this.
Pinball Hall of Fame.
Just going to go outside of town a little bit.
Come for the Scoop Fest. Stay for the Pinball Hall of Fame.
That's right.
That's what I was talking about too.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. Because we got contact information and all kinds of stuff like that there. Hey, a lot of people didn't like our April Fool's episode, by the way. Got a lot of comments on Twitter that they thought the reverse order was confusing.
I find, CJ, that our listenership is an insular one. And I don't get swayed by the vocal minority.
I think I'm going to see an article on Polygon about how Player One Podcast is going down.
I'd love to see an article on Polygon about a Player One podcast. That would scratch so many itches.
That would.
I would like to see that, but I would also become very, very depressed about that because Mike Phillips is no longer on our show to comment about it.
Maybe we could get him on as a special one-time deal.
That's true.
Yeah.
What were the comments, Chris? Because I wasn't sure if I needed to like come into tonight's episode preparing for like a Pulp Fiction version of it. Like I didn't realize it was an April Fool's joke. I listened. This is why it was the first time I watched the video of the show because like I downloaded it. I'm like, this is all backwards. They must have messed up the audio version. I went over to the video. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess they did it on.
There's some people who deleted the episode and said they'll just listen again next week because they didn't want to listen to it backwards.
I put so much effort into listening to it, like because the intro is at the end, but it's like 3 minutes before the end, so like it warped my brain of time travel rules and stuff. It was very. I think I got a bleeding nose.
Successful.
We were successful. I think.
I'm like cross-eyed.
For the record, the three of us were stoned out of our gourd when we recorded last week. So we thought
it is legal in this country now.
We thought that we were doing this in order. Yeah. We just, you
actually recorded it out of order.
It distorts.
We also thought we were on the Bombcast, so
we were very disappointed when the actual listener download numbers came back. We were like, "What? I thought these guys did better than this."
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is a lot of people deleted the episode and then downloaded it again, and we actually got like double our download numbers. So it was worth it overall.
We got to go get some advertising right now while those numbers are up.
That's what I'm thinking.
Speaking of, have you guys heard about sleep number beds? Let me tell you.
Let me tell you about Harry's razors.
Harry razors.
Harry's
razors.
They make
a good
game
razor.
shorts.
Make a good razor.
Yeah. They make a good razor. All right. At our website, you'll also find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Stewart.
Someday.
Yeah. Generation 16 episodes.
Yeah. Super excited about how the next one's coming along. I hope everyone else will be too.
Yes, indeed. Show notes where I'll link to all the cool stuff that we talked about in this very episode. And there's also a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting playeronepodcast.com or by going to the Apple Podcast app and subscribe to us that way. Or you can head over to the App Store and drop $1.99.
Cheap.
Pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application. It gives you one touch. One touch is all it takes with us. Communication via the emails, the Twitters, the what have you. You also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listening device. And hey, Android cell phone, telephone users, Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for your listening device as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
You can find that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. We're also on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. You can check out our show live and watch archives of our shows out of order, in order. Who gives a patoot? Make it your own, man. Watch the show how you please on the YouTubes.com. YouTube do YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
.com/P1 podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out, won't you? Or if you're done with that and you've liked what you've heard,
and how could you?
You know, you be you again. Do your own thing. You can head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. It will pay for more of my special guest appearances at the end of episodes.
Wait, what? We're paying him for this?
No.
That's
don't lie to me, Johnston.
That's not true.
That's, I don't want to.
I see the books too,
I didn't really want to start a thing here, fellas. I was just, Daddy's got to get paid. if you have a couple bucks left over afterwards, head on over to generation-16.com, where you'll find the Patreon link to help support Greg Stewart's outstanding web series about North America's favorite Sega banana, the Sega Genesis.
Thanks, Phil.
No. Thank you.
Nah.
Yeah, that's right. Better appreciate that plug. CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Phil, for showing up suddenly and
unannounced,
crashing the show.
It's a surprise. Can you crash your own podcast though?
Yeah.
Can you crash a podcast that you are a co-host of?
Yes.
Or of which you are a co-host? To use the proper English.
Hey, weren't you a teacher?
Well, not anymore. Now I'm just a professional writer. Greg.
Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil, for showing up late and bringing the quality of the show up.
Clearly. Clearly I did. Hey, and
it feels like this outro is taking as long as the entire rest of the show, but keep going.
That's why I'm here. I enjoyed watching you play Mega Man for the brief time I was able to join your stream.
Thank you. I was saying earlier that you are right, that the Mega Man's 9 and 10, especially 9, not unfair.
Yeah.
Not unfair difficulty.
No. I mean, they're tough.
They're tough,
but it's not cheap.
Nope.
Not cheap.
Hashtag Phil was right.
Just challenge. You have no idea how often that hashtag comes up these days.
Yeah, but it doesn't count when you use it when you're arguing with your wife. It's not, especially when you're the one using it.
Yeah. Who I thought you were supposed to take the laundry out of the dryer. Hashtag Phil was right. Sorry. And a super duper special thanks to the only person on this planet who could potentially fill in for me. That is, of course, our special guest, Sean.
You're making sure you know his name.
Only Sean showing up on the Google Hangout. Only his first name. Gosh.
I know your last name. I don't know. Is it Capri or Capri?
It's Capri, like the pants.
Okay. Or the sun.
Or the juice.
Or the sun. Yeah.
Or the sun. The entire sun. That's right.
Yep. The only man who, if you try to poke a straw on him, you got to be super careful because you might poke through the back.
All the way back.
Want to do that?
Then you experience talking right there.
And you can't drink the sweet innards of Sean Capri, ladies and gentlemen.
I am honored. Thank you guys for having me on. This has been amazing. And I honestly don't know how this. I was thinking, how would we have done the end of the show without you, Phil? How would that, I honestly don't know how
Greg would have done it poorly. Yeah.
In post, I think, is how it would have been done.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. I haven't gotten a chance because I've just got here. I don't know if you knew this, but Sean, I'm going to fawn over your little backdrop there.
Let's do it. Yeah. What do you want me to grab?
I'm very well. This is a family show. Tell you what, if you can make it out to Vegas, we'll talk.
Hey, for Scoop Fest,
there's a picture of Phil on CJ's bed you might want to see.
Yeah,
that's
covered in money.
Yeah.
The American Beauty, like with the rose petals and everything.
Exactly right. That's what we were going for.
Beauty is a strong word.
Yeah,
but American, there can
American,
be no doubt.
Sure.
I have the papers to prove that.
Yeah.
Beauty is, eye of the beholder and all that. But hashtag Phil was right. Sean has. I see Sean has a Transformers Mighty Mug up there, so full approval from me. You got
thanks. That's my wife's actually. This is a joint collection my wife and I have.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Yeah, Mighty Mugs are awesome.
No, tell you what, you leave. Get your wife over here. He's clearly more interesting than you. So that's awesome. No, I'm seeing lots of Skylanders, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Also, my wife's.
Okay, let me just bring. What if this is yours then, Sean?
Everything else, the 3DS collection, the Amiibo collection,
the Amiibos are all yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I said this outro is taking as long as the rest of the show, I was joking,
but not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, seriously.
We should let Sean plug his Twitter.
Yeah. I'm going to, dude.
Anything else he wants to plug?
Sean,
That's all right. No, this is fun little banter, Phil. I'm enjoying this very much.
Thank you. You know what, Sean? You and me, we're gonna go start our own podcast.
Let's do it.
Like someone who's never been on the show before.
Good times, man.
Where can the internet find you, Sean?
The internet can find me in Canada, but on Twitter you can find me at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery Capri, like the pants.
Just like or the sun.
Or the sun. Or the thing that you stab all the way through and you spill all over your jeans and you try to convince people that it was Capri Sun, not you urinating yourself.
Sounds like
here's my trick.
It's never happened to me. No, it never happened.
Here's my trick, Sean. This is the way the professionals do it. If you spill a little juice on your pants, just start furiously piss yourself. Just go nuts. Just go crazy. And if someone asks, you clumsy oaf, what did you do? Did you spill juice on yourself? Nah, man, I'm just pissing everywhere. This is just urine. Don't mind.
I just saw a funny meme on the internet, and I peed myself laughing.
There you go. That's how those memes get you.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously,
I was not expecting that.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us. Well, for joining them. You didn't. I just got here.
No, you're here too. I'm very. This was awesome. I had made plans with my family, my parents for dinner, and everybody was going over. It's this big thing, and then 2 minutes afterwards, I confirmed that I was going. Chris asked me to join the podcast, and then I text my parents, change your plans. Wife and son will be there.
Wow.
I'm going to be on the show. So I literally bailed on a family dinner to join you guys.
You
are pumped, man. This is awesome. No, it's okay. I'm the favorite son. It's okay.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Check out the other podcasts that Sean does. They're excellent. And follow him on Twitter for sure.
Yes.
We do.
Actually, I don't. But you know what? Watch this.
You can change that very easily.
Well, what? Listen, click. Boom. There you go.
No, it's Capri Sun is not Sean's Twitter account.
Capri Sun.
Yep.
Why do you tweet a lot about fruit punch?
Yeah, it's weird. The last time they tweeted was 1996.
What the Capri Sun people? Yeah. Is that true?
I don't know.
Is that true?
Yeah,
is that true? 1996.
Where do I start?
We had Twitter in 1996.
We have to. Let's talk about it in the after show.
Let's do the post show.
Okay.
Now. All right. Keep recording now.
Bye. Oh wait, should I start recording?
Bye, everybody.
Did you actually? You better
record it. Never get over.